Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is out now and it's in full swing. It's in theaters. It's making some money. We're going to get another one. And I have some questions about the ending of this movie. I'm not going to really style this video after how I usually construct my spoiler reviews. I know I break those up into topics and sections, and I usually do a play-by-play. I'm not really going to do that here because what I'm mostly going to focus on for the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes spoiler review is that ending. If you are somebody who hasn't seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes yet and you don't want to be spoiled, as always, I have a spoiler-free review for you guys to check out. If you don't care, or if you have seen the movie, then welcome. As I said, I'm probably going to talk mostly about the ending of the movie, mostly the last hour of the movie. Once they get to the coastline and meet Proximus Caesar, that's probably going to be the main crux of this video, which is why I'm not splitting it up into different sections or topics like I normally do, because I feel like it's just going to be streamlined to that because I had some questions at the end. So let's talk about that ending for a minute. The last chunk of this movie, I would say the last half, maybe the last hour of this movie, takes place on this coastline. There's this clan of apes led by Proximus Caesar. It's essentially established as a kingdom for the Planet of the Apes, but you come to find out that there's something sinister that Proximus Caesar is trying to do here. He's essentially having his apes act as slaves, because they're trying to break down the wall to this, what they call a vault. And we don't know what's behind that vault. And so far up to this point, we've had May, Noah, and his friends along for the adventure. And May is trying to get something behind that vault too. So both the apes and the humans are going after something. You think they're going after the same thing. And earlier in the movie, there was a line stated by May saying that I just chose to remain silent. I can actually talk, but there is something I am after that will allow the humans to talk again. And this is where the movie really subverted expectations for me, because when she said that, I was like, okay, there's definitely like whatever she's after. There's a cure to the simian virus. That's going to allow people to talk again, because humans are feral, and we saw in the previous trilogy that humanity is slowly dying out, and the colonel in the last movie lost his ability to speak because of the simian virus. Like, we saw that firsthand. We saw that with Nova in the last movie too. She's a silent character. We know that is what the simian virus eventually does. It doesn't allow you to speak, and then it eventually kills you. So I was thinking to myself, there's definitely a cure in there. And so Noah, May, and the rest of his friends, they get into the vault. They sneak in, they break in the middle of the night. When they get in there, they're seeing all this stuff about like research on apes and like how apes have evolved. And I was like, okay, I know exactly where we are. We are at the Genesis lab from Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And it actually wasn't that. It was actually a bunker with human technology, like tanks and guns and shit. That's what Proximus Caesar was after. And it turns out that May is after something else. What she meant by that line, where humans will be able to gain the ability to speak again, was this object, this subdued MacGuffin that we've been after this whole movie that we really didn't even realize. Or at least I didn't realize, because the movie just subverted my expectations in the form of this data entry card that she grabs. And then this whole fight breaks out between Noah's friends and Proximus Caesar's clan. The Eagles come and they kill Proximus Caesar, or is he dead? He falls off the cliff. I'm a firm believer that if you don't see the body, the person or the thing is still alive. So there you go. He might still be alive. We see him fall off the cliff. We don't see the impact of his body. He's still alive in my eyes. Until the sequels come around and confirm that he's dead, he's still alive. I didn't see a body, just saying. And it's here where I start to have some questions, because May and Noah kind of go their separate ways. There's this confrontational relationship that they've developed in this last 30 or so minutes. And she goes back to Noah's clan at the end and she talks to him. She's holding a revolver in her belt pocket. There's a brief shot of that. And I was just like, okay, so she's basically saying, apes and humans, we come into conflict. I will shoot and kill you if you try and fuck with what I'm trying to do, or if you try and fuck with what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. So there was that brief shot of the gun. Like, I think she was holding it. It looked like she was holding it, and then the next scenes, she didn't have it in her hand. So she must have had it in her like belt or something. And that whole conversation, I was just like, this is a tense conversation. But then they go their separate ways. And here's where the questions start to fill in, because she brings the data entry card back to a bunker. And there's people in this bunker, this satellite bunker. They insert it into a hard drive. That hard drive loads up. they're able to communicate with other people throughout the world. And there's a lot of theories online right now about, oh, hey, are they contacting the spaceship Icarus? I don't think so. I think that's a massive, massive stretch. This, for those that don't know, the spaceship Icarus is the spaceship that lands on the Planet of the Apes in the original 1968 Planet of the Apes. I definitely think that this movie and its subsequent sequels are going to build to leading up to that moment. I can totally see that without doing a flat out remake of the original Planet of the Apes. My question is this. I thought that the last trilogy showed to us that humanity was nearly extinct, that it was dying out. The simian flu wiped out everyone, made the apes intelligent, made the human race die essentially, and that the humans that were in War for the Planet of the Apes were essentially the last faction of humans on the planet. So when I saw this ending, I was like, huh, okay, there's more humans than I initially thought. And my thing was, well, it's 300 years after, but at the same time, I was under the impression what we saw for the humans in war were the last of the human race. And I get it. Maybe some of these people survived. I'm totally not oblivious to the fact that people procreate and it's set 300 years after War for the Planet of the Apes. But that was my big question. It wasn't that I didn't understand the ending. Like I knew that the humans were contacting other humans, that there were human survivors out there. Like that is made abundantly clear. It is like the most clear understanding of an ending to a movie ever. Since I'm talking so much about the ending, I guess you could call this video an ending explained video. But my point being is that I just thought that the last trilogy had established something. I thought that that was these are the last humans on the earth. If they make more, then we're literally going to have no humans, or we're going to have very few humans. And May was one of those few humans where I was like, so there were definitely a few survivors, but I didn't expect there to be a whole gang of people like hanging out in a satellite bunker, expecting radio calls to and distress signals and seeing if anybody else was out there. There's a lot more humans here than I thought that there would be at the end. And that was surprising and jarring to me because I had just thought that the human race was extinct at this point, or mostly extinct, or that the previous trilogy had told us that the human race was extinct. Once the Colonel got wiped out in War for the Planet of the Apes and that attack happened, that was it. I thought that was it, but apparently no. So I get the idea. There were survivors, reproduction, people were born within this 300-year time gap between war and kingdom. Makes perfect sense to me, but I just sat there in the theater. I was like, huh, okay, more humans. And I like what it's building up to. I like that we are moving closer to that original 1968 film for Planet of the Apes. Whether or not they're actually going to go full blown sci fi like that, it remains to be seen. I don't think they're going to do anything as crazy as that. They've kind of grounded this reboot series in a more realistic fashion. You can classify this whole thing as a sci fi saga. It's sci fi for sure, but not in the way that you really think it is, or not in the way that that original 1968 film is. I just wonder if we're going to do something similar to Dawn or War, if it's going to be, we're going to see human factions rising up again, if we're going to see an all out war or the dawn of a war between humans and apes. Now that humans know that the apes are out there, is something going to go wrong in the next installment? Those are really my questions that I have. Like, where are we going from here? How did we get to this point, since I was under an understanding that the human race was wiped out? Obviously, I've already kind of addressed that. Where do we go from here? What's it all going to mean in the long run? I actually cannot wait to see sequels. And this is why I think that this reboot series, what was previously a trilogy but is now another trilogy, supposedly, is so good. They take the time to make these character driven stories, thought provoking stories, have questions like this lingering in your head long after the credits roll. I saw this movie back on Wednesday. This is one movie. It's like, it's crazy. I'm gonna say this. You guys know me. I'm not big on Dune, but I really like Dune too, and that movie has stuck with me. The more and more I think about it, throughout the entire year so far that I've liked it more, even though I've only seen it once. I'm gonna rewatch it again once I get it on 4K. And Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is one of those movies. That's what's so good about these movies. They just stick with you. They make you think about them for days on end. And I've had that last hour or so in my head for the past almost week, and I just couldn't wait to talk about it. I finally got the time to talk about it. But there's just things in here where I'm just like, okay, there's a lot of questions. There are some questions I have regarding that. And back going back to War for a minute, I could have missed something because I love that trilogy and I've seen War about 6 or 7 times now. And I could have missed something every time, or I just don't, or it's just not coming to me. I just don't remember. Sometimes I have like short-term memory loss with movies. It's weird, man. But like this one in particular, I just remember the coastline, that kingdom that Proximus Caesar sets up, and what he's trying to get at in that vault that ends up being this giant bunker, putting the data entry disk into that hard drive posed to me. So it's kind of an interesting topic. I could be looking way too far into it, or I could just be that dumb where I'm just like, yeah, it's obvious that stuff like this is happening 300 years after War for the Planet of the Apes, but it just sets up a trilogy of where this could go. I mean, I don't know. I've kind of had ideas in my mind as to where it could go, like ideas for titles for the next two, where it's like, okay, maybe the next one's called Fall of the Planet of the Apes or something. I have no I definitely think eventually they're gonna use Fall of the Planet of the Apes as a title. I don't know why I'm getting so worked up over this. It's just a damn movie. That really covers my bases. I guess what's really sticking out more to me is that shot with May with the gun in her back. That's sticking out more to me. It's interesting. So I think there's definitely going to be another conflict. I think the humans are definitely going to come out again, and there's going to be another conflict between apes and humans. Whether or not we see Caesar's teachings being brought to a head again, I think that that's really what this trilogy is going to be about: the legacy of Caesar's teachings, the legacy of Caesar himself, apes together strong. All of the things that the previous trilogy taught us. I think are going to be coming to a head here in this trilogy, and I think that that's what this ending is setting up as well. So that's really my spoiler talk for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. You could call it an ending explained, I guess. I just had a flurry of questions the moment I saw that I couldn't get out of my head for days on end. And because I couldn't get it out of my head, I was just thinking of that like last hour of the movie forever. And it's sticking with me. The whole movie is sticking with me. I mean, there's some great scenes in here, like the raid on Noah's clan destroying their village. That's awesome. I love the whole action scene and like the planes. That was great as well, where May has to jump off the rock and onto Noah's horse. That scene we've seen in the trailer. So good. But I can't wait to see more of this world, of this Planet of the Apes. These movies are so good, man. So, what are your thoughts on the ending for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? Did it raise any questions like it did for me? I mean, I understood it, but I just had questions as to where we could go in the future and some things as to what happened in the past. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. I will leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.